lost in this country. Will we stand for that religious liberty? Yes, we will, in a way that I don't think our own party, the Republican Party, has done a good enough job of in the last 25 years. And so that's an important part of my job as your next president. Pastors and priests across this country have their role to play too. But as your president, my job is to swear an oath to that Constitution, to embody the values that we share as Americans. And that much I have full confidence I'm going to be able to do for the next generation better than anybody else who has been running for president a very long time. And that's part of why I'm in this as well. So I just wanted to share that with you all as we take a couple more questions.
My question, it has an overall topic of taxation. Mm-hmm. And at the debate, Ron DeSantis mentioned that he would tax remittances to other countries. And then the second prong of that is, what do you think about a national sales tax or a flat tax?
Flat tax is the way to go. So I favor a 12% flat tax across the board. Capital gain, ordinary income, corporate, flat 12%. And then eliminate a lot of the cronyist deductions. I mean, you guys probably know this well, but if you added up the tax compliance costs, our tax code is so darn complicated, the tax compliance costs, just the out-of-pocket costs, are $750 billion today. You can just give that money back to the people across this country. It's a good amount of money per person in this country. So what I would say is flatten the tax code, as low of a tax rate as possible for as broad of a possible base. I do think everybody should pay some amount of tax. It's a good thing that everybody pays the same 12%. Eliminate a lot of the payroll nonsense, but make it a 12% flat income tax across the board. That lowers the rate, eliminates the deductions, simplifies the tax code, and brings back efficiency. That's how I would do it. That's also part of how we grow this economy. Our economy is growing at less than 2%. I'll tell you how we grow this economy. Unlock American energy, drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear energy. Stop using our taxpayer dollars to pay people more money to stay at home instead of to go to work. That's something we've been doing for a long time. Probably even pizza ranches included. The toughest thing for new business is to find people to fill open positions. That's how you grow this economy. And then fix the Federal Reserve. Put the Fed back in its place. Single mandate for the U.S. Fed on my watch. Here's what it is. Stabilize the dollar as a unit of measurement. Peg it to commodities. That ties the hands of the federal government. That fixes a lot of the excesses over the last 25 years. That's how we also grow this economy. And then rescind those federal regulations. You're going to have 5% GDP growth by the end of my first term. That's what I expect to deliver. It's going to take a CEO in the White House to do it. Existing politicians are not going to get that job done. It takes somebody who understands the economy deeply, and flattening the tax code is an important part of that. So, great question, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you. Did I answer your question?
Also about the remittances
to
other countries.
I think it's a reasonable idea. I mean, I think it's a tiny, the thing about that, and sometimes politicians do this, is it sounds good, but it doesn't, it's a drop in the bucket, right? We got a $34 trillion national debt crisis. Let's address that.
Okay.
How are we going to address that? Get the oil and natural gas out of our ground, sell $8 trillion of it, and buy down our national debt. That's the single most effective thing we can do. And so it's not that I disagree with the idea. We got limited time to work with. I want to get in there and get started and get to the root cause of what the heck is going wrong in this country. Move our military to the southern border, 75% layoff across the federal government, shut down the agencies that shouldn't exist, and then get the oil and gas out of our ground, sell it, and buy down the national debt, keep us out of the foreign wars, negotiate an end to the Ukraine deal so we don't have Iraq 2.0. That's where $7 trillion of our last national debt. Rescind all the old executive orders that have impeded our economy. Now we're back on track. I mean, I want to get to the root causes, and so yeah, that's a very esoteric, issue. But the dollars at stake are tiny compared to the things I just told you. Okay. So that hopefully addresses your question. Thank you. Great question, sir. Thanks a lot. Yes.
I had a question about the three-letter agencies that you're going to get rid of. And,
yep.
I'm all for it. Specifically, ATF red flag laws.
The ATF, we will shut it down. The ATF is fundamentally hostile to the Second Amendment. The red flag laws are basically a constitutional violation. Here's my rule of thumb. We do have a mental health epidemic spreading across this country. If somebody poses a danger to their community, here's the answer. Remove psychiatrically ill and dangerous people from their community and put them in mental health institutions that we've shut down instead of removing guns from law-abiding citizens. That's the right answer. And just like the FBI, the ATF, the CDC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, Food and Nutrition Services, and the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Education, all of these, we have detailed shutdown plans for each of these. The ATF fundamentally is hostile to the existence of the Second Amendment, just like the Nuclear Regulatory Commission is fundamentally hostile to nuclear energy. These agencies are toxic. The background checks, where are we going to go? We'll move the background checks to the U.S. Marshals. There, done. That's what we believe in this country. And so, you know, I think that fundamentally, I think they would love a world in which Americans couldn't really own an AR-15. You get a bump stock ban and everything. I don't know if you're familiar with what I'm referring to. I mean, that's what somebody asked me after I spoke about that once. They said, what is, they're trying to challenge me on this. What does AR-15 stand for? I said it stands for freedom. Actually, that's what it stands for. Second Amendment is the one that puts the teeth into all of the other ones. Like, that's the answer, right? And so the ATF's hostile to that. That's part of why it's on our list of agencies to shut down. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. We have time for one more question. Thank you. I don't want to put pressure on everybody for the last question. You get one. Thank you.
How about building refineries?
Oh, yes, thank you. That's a key part of unlocking energy production. And this actually relates to a deeper point. So, yes, we need more refinery capacity in the U.S. One of the things you've seen under the Biden administration is they've actually, through the Department of Interior, rolled back the refinery permits in places like the U.S. Virgin Islands. So that's one of the rate limiters. Is they've been hitting the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which is at its all-time lows right now. But we have a capacity problem because even the oil we bring out of the ground, we're not able to refine it in Alaska, to the U.S. Virgin Islands, to other places. But the reason I said it relates to a deeper point is this. That's not happening because Congress is banning it. It's happening because those three-letter agencies, in this case the Department of Interior, is doing through the back door what Congress never had the political backstop to do through the front door. Because we the people would never say we want to ban drilling or fracking or refining. So they get it done through the back door. And that's a bastardization of our Constitution. But the good news, if I'm to frame it at least as good news, is that means the next president can get this done without asking Congress for permission or for forgiveness. But it takes a president who knows and understands the law and Constitution of this country. That's why I'm running for president. I think now more than ever, it is going to take somebody coming in from the outside who isn't captured by those special interests, including the green agenda, the climate change agenda that is a cult. It has nothing to do with science, it has nothing to do with the climate. It's a quasi-religious conviction system that helps people in power make more money for themselves and advance China relative to the United States. It takes somebody who isn't captured by those special interests, someone from the outside, and yes, somebody with fresh legs from the next generation to lead and reach the new generation of Americans. That's why I'm in this race. I think we're going to win the Iowa caucus, actually. I'm actually pretty confident in that. Many of our supporters are first-time ever caucus goers, people who have not been polled. This is perfect. So the expectations are set exactly where we want them. We'll come in and shatter them, but I can't do that alone. The system is not built for a guy like me to do this. The Republican establishment does not approve of this message, not much of it. Super PAC puppet masters want to put those ads on television. Flood the zone. That's exactly how they want elections to be defined. No, we don't do it that way. Iowa goes first for a reason. There's no social media algorithms in the air between us right now. There's no TV screens between us. This is how the election ought to be decided, starting right here at the Iowa caucus. Every one of your votes there on January 15th, about 25 days. Every one of your votes is the equivalent of 1 million people in the impact that it has on choosing the next U.S. president. So I'm here to ask you for a donation. I really am. Not a donation of your money. A more valuable donation than that. A donation of your time and your effort and your energy for this country. 30 minutes of your time on January 15th to do what's right for this country. And if you're willing, maybe even 30 minutes of your time each week between now and then to volunteer with us. to be a precinct captain, to speak at the caucus. That's why I'm here. And if you all do your part, I promise you, my wife Apurva, who her reason for not being here right now is she's finishing surgeries in the operating room as a throat surgeon, saving lives for cancer survivors, but she will be here tonight on the weekends before going back to take cases at the start of next week, as we've been doing this whole year. Raising our 2 boys. One of them's 3.5, one of them's 1.5. I promise you we're not doing this out of convenience for us. We're doing this out of our sense of duty to this country, to pass that American dream that we have lived to this next generation of young Americans. If you all do your part, I promise you, Apurva and I and our family, we will do ours to make sure that our country's best days are actually still ahead of us. To make sure that we don't have to be this nation in decline. That we don't have to be at the end of the ancient Roman Empire, as we're taught to believe. I think the truth is, as a nation right now, we're really just a little young, actually. Going through our own version of adolescence. Figuring out who we're going to be when we grow up. And when you view it that way, it makes sense again, actually. You go through your adolescence, you go through that identity crisis. You lose your way a little bit. You do some stupid things. Most of us probably did. But we are stronger for it when we get to our adulthood on the other side. So no, I don't think we have to be that nation in decline. I think we still can be a nation in our ascent. Maybe even the early stages of our ascent. Maybe we're not even at base camp, if you see it this way. On our way still to that shining city on a hill. That country where we will look our kids in the eye and tell them and mean it that the United States of America is still the nation where no matter who you are, where your parents came from, or what your skin color is, that you get ahead in this country with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication. And that you know what? You are free to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is what we are running to. And with your help, that's what I'm asking for. With your help, that is what we are going to revive to save this great country. Thank you for coming today, guys. God bless you and your families. And God bless our United States of America.
the bus then? On his way out. Oh, maybe here. Maybe here?
Expedia.com. Expedia.com.
I think I'm just gonna record him on my phone.
Yeah. Yeah, I only take you one day because I go straight down and work the Grammys from Las Vegas for 6 days. So, then from the Grammys I go straight home and do another gig.
Oh my gosh, I don't have to cover him tomorrow. Oh no. I'm feeling I'm sorry. No, I'm happy for you. Oh my gosh. So many wires. Yeah. I'm at 5 minutes. Yeah, literally one section.
Okay, I need to go, buddy. So.
I just got one question. What are you guys gonna ask?
Also the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court, yeah. We just talked about that a lot already.
No, not 10 minutes ago.
What? I didn't even see it. Decision.
Oh man, I didn't know I was such a celebrity. I know.
The Supreme Court sidesteps the decision on Trump's presidential.
Wow. Oh shit. To not expedite the process. And then broke 10 minutes ago?
Like an hour ago.
I wonder, well, Vivek probably won't even know anything about it then.
Declines to fast track Trump's immunity.
I feel bad for James and Veronica. Oh my god, yeah. We can get it later.
Are they going to another event?
Book the rest of the day.
Okay, well, I'm gonna get over here with you so that I'm not in you guys' shot.
But we're famous.
Oh wow, let's see.
So where's he going next?
We're on a bus, so they're
Yeah,
taking
they
us.
take
We
us.
don't even know.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we should know, but you know.
That would make sense. Here.
Hey, quick question for you.
Yes.
30 seconds. The Supreme Court said Friday today it would not immediately decide the key question of whether Trump has broad immunity for the actions he took as president challenging the election loss of 2020. What are your thoughts?
And I have not yet read that. We've been doing campaign events nonstop. What was the justification and the basis, just so I understand?
There has not been a clear justification yet. They're just sidestepping it.
They just denied. Sorry. Well, look, I think that it's, in this case, a good thing for the Supreme Court not to be dancing to the tune of Jack Smith's prosecutorial whim. I mean, yes, we all know that Jack Smith has a political agenda. We all know this was designed as an element of election interference. That much is transparent. The Supreme Court has no obligation to play by that election interference gambit. So I'm unsurprised by that decision. I hadn't seen it come down. We've been doing these events back to back, but that's my reaction is the Supreme Court has no obligation to play by Jack Smith's political games, and I'm glad that they're making independent decisions.
Do
Who are you with?
With ABC News.
ABC, good to see you.
Hi, good to see you too. Do you believe that? How do you feel about the case in general, or the issue of presidential immunity?
Well, look, I do think that there's a long-standing constitutional tradition that solid jurisprudence dating back 50 years and dating back nearly 250 years, nearly back to 1789, that says anything that goes to the outer bounds of presidential duty is covered by executive immunity as the President of the United States. That is, the whole purpose of this in the Constitution is you don't want rife political abuses to second-guess decisions that a U.S. president needs to make in order to make the right decisions for this country. So long as it's within the outer bounds of that presidential executive scope of responsibility, it's long-standing tradition and it's long-standing constitutional jurisprudence in this country that the president does enjoy immunity for his actions as U.S. president.
Hi, Mr. Ramaswami, Ali with CBS News. Yesterday you said that if the courts ruled that Hunter Biden was guilty, that you would support that ruling. If the courts ruled that Trump was guilty, would you support that ruling as well?
Well, I think that it depends on the facts of each individual case. If you're talking about the individual of a case of bribery, if it is a fact, and if those facts are found in a court of law, that Hunter Biden accepted a $5 million bribe from Ukraine, and further that impacted our own foreign policy to send $200 billion to Ukraine, that's not a novel legal theory. That's cut and dry, old school corruption and bribery. My issue is with these persecutions through prosecution against Trump is they're using novel, untested legal theories. So people aren't disputing the facts. The thing that's under dispute is whether the law ever was designed to criminalize those behaviors. And there's no legal precedent to support any of these cases. And to the contrary, you have legal precedents going in the other direction. So if in a court of law it's held that Hunter Biden did the things that it looks like he actually did, that's criminal behavior and he should be held accountable. But I don't think that we should be inventing new legal theories to charge him. We don't have to. That's old school corruption. That's old school bribery. That's why I don't think we should be inventing legal theories in these prosecutions. I think we should be using the laws as they exist. That's what I stand for.
Does that also apply to the Stormy Daniels indictment?
Which one? Oh, see, I'll tell you about the Stormy Daniels indictment, actually. You're losing track of which you're talking about New York case, Alvin Bragg. This is, in some cases, the most clear abuse of all, because imagine, I don't know how close you really familiar you are with the facts of this. What they basically are charging him for is under federal laws, claiming that that had to be a campaign contribution paid out of the campaign account. A lot of legal scholars have appropriately observed that if he had used campaign money to privately pay a hush money payment to a porn star, that would have been the campaign finance violation, not using your personal money to do it. So if they're going to get you coming or get you going, those legal theories are made up. That's not constitutional. That's not really the rule of law. That's politicization of the rule of law. And I'm going to end that on my watch as president. One standard of the rule of law for all Americans. That's the way we need to lead this country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you get the audio transcript for that?
Yes. You want to send it? We can each debate our own questions and then share? Okay. So I'll do one. You can
I did want to ask another question, but also the Stormy Daniels case. But also
Sorry, what did you say?
The Stormy Daniels case, that it's not a campaign contribution information, it's a falsification of business records.
When he asked, I was like still reading it, and when he asked me like, was I right when I said both sides of the decision?
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I skipped it, so but I think because I think you worded it well. It's like very right, so it's not like there's a lot of information. But it's saying like